So in this video, I'm gonna share with you 20 tips from Rich Dad Poor Dad that changed my life. And I'm hoping that it can do the same for you. So the first one is stop saying I can't and start asking how can I? And the reason why this is important because words have great power and it's important to choose your words wisely. For instance, instead of saying I can't afford it, which shuts the brain off, start asking how can I afford it? Which is gonna open up your mind and start coming up with creative ways to find a solution to your problem. So let's say you want a Lamborghini, right? Instead of saying I can't afford it, try to figure out ways and say how can I afford a Lamborghini? And it's gonna force you to come up with ways on finding a solution or come up with ways to get that Lamborghini you want. Yeah, it's expensive, but if you ask yourself that question, you'll be amazed at the answers that you come up with. So in school, we're taught that making mistakes are bad, and in some cases, we're punished for that. And this causes us to grow up avoiding mistakes. But some of the greatest lessons that we learn are from making mistakes, right? Even think about it, even as toddlers, right? When we're learning how to walk, we get up and we fall down. We get up, we fall down, right? And we have to, in order to learn how to walk, we have to fall down. They're not out here saying, I fell down and I can't get up, so I guess I'm done. They're thinking, I need to learn how to walk because I can't be relying on mommy and daddy all day to get me to where I need to go, right? So making mistakes are a part of life, and it's a way for us to grow as individuals. So we have to get out that mentality that making mistakes are bad and get into the mindset that, in order to learn, I have to make mistakes. So every month you should be finding ways to pay yourself first, right? Now you do this by taking out a certain amount of money and then taking that money and putting it into an income generating asset. So you're probably saying to me like, Ralph, like all the money that I have from my paycheck has to go to bills. Now I understand that, but this should pressure you to come up with ways on generating more income. And now I'm not saying that you be irresponsible and not pay your bills, but if you're going to focus on paying your bills, and if you make sure all those bills are paid, it's not going to put pressure on you to find ways to generate income. But if you first take that money that you make and take a certain percentage and pay yourself first, and then leave the rest to whatever pay your bills, you're going to try to say, all right, I don't have enough to pay my bills. So that's going to force you to come up with ways to generate income so that you can make sure you can cover your bills. Like I said, I'm not telling you to be irresponsible, but if you focus on paying yourself first and paying your bills second, and then let's say you don't have enough, it's going to force you to say, all right, I don't have enough to cover the bills. How can I come up with ways to make sure all my bills are paid? So that's going to force you to come up with different ways to generate income and figure out how to cover those bills. Next is understanding the difference between an asset and a liability, right? An asset is going to put money into your pocket, and a liability is going to take money out of it. I know a lot of times we like to think that our house is an asset, but in reality, that maybe the home is an asset, but the mortgage that's attached to it is a liability. And if you start to think of it that way, you can find yourself building wealth much quicker. Because I know a lot of times we like to think, we have cars, we have the home, and these are our assets. But all they're doing is taking money out of our pocket. So if you flip that kind of thinking and say, an asset is something that's always putting money into my pocket, and the liability is taking money out of it, you'll think about wealth in a much different light. Now, it doesn't matter how many self-help books you read, courses you take, or YouTube videos you watch. None of that is going to help you get wealthy unless you take action. I think a lot of times that we like to feed ourselves with a lot of information, a lot of videos and learning how to get wealthy, and it makes us feel good. Like, all right, I watched this video now. I feel good about how to make wealth, but we never take action, and then we wait for that next course or video or that book to help inspire us again. To give us that motivation to make us feel good. But none of that is going to make you wealthy. All that information that you learn is not going to help make you wealthy unless you start taking action on the things that you learn. So if you're going to read a book, you're going to watch a video, take what you learn from those videos and then apply that and start taking little steps. Even if it's a little step, even if it's one thing, take that one step and start going on that path on building wealth. So when it comes to building wealth, playing it safe may not be the smartest thing to do. That's because playing it safe keeps us stuck, right? It keeps us at that job that we hate longer than we should be. It kind of forces us to save when we should be investing, right? So it's important to understand that without risk, it's hard to be successful. We need to learn how to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? This is how we grow as human beings. So make sure to put yourself out there and take risks, because you'll find out that a lot of the risks that you do take, especially the good ones, is gonna reap you great reward. Now, this next one might be a hard pill to swallow, but you're the problem, right? Oftentimes we like to blame others for why we're not where we want to be financially. And the problem with that line of thinking is that it relies on someone else changing instead of you changing. And that's because it's easier to change yourself rather than it is to change someone else. So once you start to understand that you are the problem, you'll come up with ways to figure out or come up with solutions to solve that problem, right? So instead of like focusing on someone else on why you're not where you want to be, look inwards and say, you know what can I do to change my situation? So the next one is mind your own business. Now, what does that mean, right? So if you're someone that's tired of working a 9-to-5 life, don't leave your full-time job. Keep your full-time job, but on the side, create a part-time business, right? And then when that part-time business is creating enough income to cover your full-time job, then that's when you make that move and leave. Like, it was something I did for myself when I was a kickboxing instructor. I would work that somewhat full-time, and then on the side, I created my part-time business. And as that started to generate income, I went from full-time to part-time, and eventually got to a point where I could replace the income, and then I eventually left, right? So I haven't been back since. I haven't worked a 9-to-5 job since. So if you're someone that's want to change in your life, keep that full-time job, build a business on the side, and as you're building it up and it's generating enough income, then you can make that transition to leave that full-time job. So it's important to be generous, right? People like to say that when I get money, then I'll give money, or once I have more, I'll give more. But that puts us in a mentality where we want to receive first and then give last. But what you learn from the book, that it's better to give than receive. And so if you're someone that wants money, then it's important to get into the habit of giving money. And you learn that from the book because they talk about this a lot, the importance of being generous. And because the more you give, the more you receive. So if you're someone that's focused on trying to get money, then maybe try to redirect that focus and learn how to give more, and you'll be surprised at the returns that you get. So if you're someone in your 20s, this next tip is gonna be a good one for you. Instead of working to earn, focus on working to learn, right? Find a job where you can acquire skills and to potentially build a business in the future. I know a lot of times when we're getting started, we like to, I need money, so I need to find a job so I can earn. But the focus should be like finding a job where you can acquire skills, and then you can then take those skills, and as you build up and develop them, then you can think about starting a business, then using those skills to then build your business. So you should always have that mentality of like, instead of working to earn, focus on working to learn. Our greatest asset is our mind, right? That's why it's important to always be fueling it with necessary information. Whether it's reading books, watching videos, talking to people, you should be always trying to learn about new things and how to generate more money, how to build a business. And I know a lot of people like to say that, I wish I knew this, I wish this information was available. The information is available, whether it's purchasing a book, whether it's watching a video, the information is there. It's just that you have to go seek it. And now it may take a while to figure it out and put the pieces together, but that's all part of the learning process. You should always be trying to fill your mind with information that can help you put everything together, because it does take a while. But like I said, if you're someone that's really wants to learn, it really wants to create a better life for yourself, you have to go seek that information. And once you have that information, you then have to apply it. All right. So always be filling your mind with important information, and always educate yourself. Right. When it comes to investing, learn about investing before you start investing. Right. So it's important to educate yourself and continuously learn. So don't be controlled by your emotions. Right. People tend to be controlled by two emotions, and that's usually fear and greed, right? The fear of not having money forces people to go to work and say, all right, I got to work these long hours because if I don't have money, I can't pay my bills. But see, when they get that money, then greed takes over, because that money, once they get that paycheck, they say, oh man, they think about all the nice things they can buy, and they make their purchases, they buy their cars, they buy their homes, they buy whatever, but then they're without money again. And then guess what? That fear comes back. And they say, oh man, now I gotta work longer hours at my job, right? And then that money comes again, they receive the money, and then that greed takes over. So that not being able to control that fear and greed keeps people stuck in that rat race, because you got the fear of not having money causes you to go to work, and then once you get the money, greed takes over. So you're constantly stuck in that wheel where you're like, gotta work, gotta buy things, gotta work, gotta buy things, and that's called the rat race. People are stuck in that all day because they're controlled by two emotions, which is fear and greed. Learn how to control those emotions, and you'll find yourself in a much better place. So there's a quote in the book that says, If you work for money, you give the power to your employer. If money works for you, you keep the power and control it. So if you're someone that works for money, then you'll find yourself always frustrated because you have no control over your life financially. You'll never have the security that you want, and you'll always have to do what you're told. So because it's important to understand that the rich, they don't work for money. They have the money work for them. So it's important to put your money into income generating assets so then you can eventually not have to rely on that 9-to-5 job. So if you focus on building that wealth, it's important to have that mindset that instead of working so hard for your money, try to find ways that to put your money to work and it's working for you. The next thing I learned is manage your spending by keeping your expenses low and reducing liabilities, right? So let's say you want a luxury item, a luxury car, luxury home, whatever it is, anything that's luxurious. Instead of using the money at your job to purchase that luxury, this is something a lot of people do. Purchase an asset that will buy the luxuries for you. This is something that a lot of wealthy people do. They don't use that income that they make at their job to purchase those items. They say, all right, you know what? I want a nice little car. I need to find an asset that would purchase that item for me. So focus on, instead of using the money to purchase these luxury items, focus on building assets that can purchase these luxury items for you. The next thing is keep good company, right? If you want to be something, be around the people that you want to be, right? Surround yourself with people that have the same mindset and life you admire. It's simple as that. So the next thing is listen more and speak less. You'll learn more from listening rather than speaking. So instead of thinking that you know everything, ask questions and absorb new ideas. You'll be surprised at what you learn. So if you plan on building wealth, then you have to be able to identify opportunities. You first have to learn how to identify these opportunities with your mind and not with your eyes, because opportunities are presented to us all the time, but many don't see them because we haven't trained our mind to see them. So first learn how to identify these opportunities with your mind, and then the eyes will follow. Learn how to manage risk. Learning how to manage risk is important to building wealth. However, many people find investing risky, when in reality, it's only risky if you haven't educated yourself on the investment. That's why knowledge is important, so that you can help minimize your risk. So it's only risky if you don't know what you're doing. Managing fear. So there's a quote in the book that says, failure inspires winners and failure defeats losers. So when it comes to making money, people are afraid to lose money, which makes them, so they play it safe. But what if I told you that wealthy people are also afraid of losing money? However, they don't let that fear stop them from taking chances and making more money. It's okay to be afraid, but it's how you manage that fear that separates you from everyone else. So wanting to be rich isn't enough to help you reach your goal. You have to find a reason to help push you when motivation is low at times. Like for me, financial freedom is what drives me to build wealth, right? Being able to do what I want, when I want, with the people I want is something that drives me. Like being rich and being wealthy isn't something that drives me. I want to be able to have control over my life financially, and I want to be able to do what I want when I want to. So find a reason for why you want to build wealth the way you want to do, and don't let just being rich be the only motivating factor. So those are the 20 lessons that I learned from the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. They provided me a lot of motivation, and I'm hoping that it does the same for you. So if you got any comments or questions, make sure to leave it down below. Hit the like button, share, and if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. All right, so you guys take care and have a good one. Later.